Hello, my name is Christopher Badger, barrister at Six Pump Court, and welcome to this first edition of our Environmental Law News Bulletin, brought to you in association with LexisNexis. In this first Environmental Law News Bulletin, we consider some of the key recent legal developments that are likely to have significant impact on the environmental law field for 2018. The government has finally published its 25-year environmental plan. The plan is split into 6 chapters. These are using and managing land sustainably, recovering nature and enhancing the beauty of landscapes, connecting people with the environment to improve health and well-being, increasing resource efficiency and reducing pollution and waste, securing clean, productive and biologically diverse seas and oceans, and protecting and improving the global environment. Underpinning each chapter is the concept of natural capital, an idea propagated by the Natural Capital Committee established in 2012 to advise the government on the sustainable use of our natural assets. It is through reliance on this concept that the plan attempts to balance environmental protection with economic growth. Natural capital is seen as an essential basis for economic growth and productivity over the long term. Some of the most interesting commitments from the plan include ending the sale of new conventional petrol and diesel cars and vans by 2040, increasing woodland in England in line with an aspiration of 12% cover by 2060, an aim clearly supported by the recent announcement of a new northern forest, doubling resource productivity by 2050, a measure of the value we generate per unit of raw materials we use in the economy, making sure that all policies, programs and investment decisions take into account the possible extent of climate change this century, and the establishment of a Green Business Council, which will advise on developing and articulating the business case for companies to assess, address and report on natural capital risks and opportunities in their operations and supply chains. The plan has been both praised and scorned. It is clear that at present, the government considers that being seen to be green is a vote winner, as well as being socially responsible. There is a distinct lack of statutory underpinning to the plan, which may pose a risk to its long-term sustainability. Much may depend on what steps are taken to ensure that the plan is continually reviewed and updated, and the extent to which, if at all, the goals of the plan are written into our environmental legal framework. Business also has an important role to play. It is to be anticipated that the environmental impact of individual businesses will become a hot topic, particularly in an environment that has as its current buzzwords natural capital. It isn't too much of a stretch of the imagination to foresee a greater emphasis being placed on the quality of corporate environmental reporting and fiduciary duties of directors towards the environment as well as their company. On this very note, expect the Financial Reporting Council to reform its guidance on non-financial reporting by June of this year. The 25-year environmental plan states that the government will underpin all of the action contained within the plan with a comprehensive set of environmental principles. To ensure strong governance, the government will consult on plans to set up a world-leading environmental watchdog, an independent statutory body to hold government to account for upholding environmental standards. The consultation is to be launched early in 2018 to consider the best way to ensure government fulfills its environmental obligations and responsibilities and, in the words of the plan, to give the environment a voice. The as yet unanswered questions include: which bodies will fall under the remit of this new environmental body? For example, will the decisions of local authorities be capable of review? Who will be able to raise a complaint to the new environmental watchdog? One of the functions of the European Commission is that it is capable of receiving and acting on complaints from the public. Will this be possible with the new environmental body? What rules or principles will be used by the new environmental body to assess the environmental impact of any particular decision or policy? If, for example, it is to be proposed that the new body should be able to declare a policy or decision as incompatible with a fundamental environmental rule, then such a rule needs to be just that, fundamental. A requirement to take account of an environmental principle is not the same as saying that the executive must not contravene a particular principle. How will any sanction imposed by the new environmental watchdog ensure an effective outcome for the environment? If this body is to have any teeth, then as a matter of principle, it will have to be capable of effecting meaningful change when an environmental principle or rule is contravened. Will the new environmental body be up and running as of March 2019? Will it have effect across all of the UK, or will its remit be limited to England? The creation of the new watchdog is a novel and potentially Herculean task. The greater its remit, the more resources and time it will require, and due to Brexit, both are in short supply. I don't expect the new watchdog to be an exact replication of the European Commission's role and functions. I anticipate, from reading the text of the 25-year environmental plan, that the government would prefer to develop a set of innovative environmental principles that are not dependent on European concepts, whilst at the same time ensuring that environmental protection is not compromised, effectively nationalising environmental law. It is in this context that the effectiveness of environmental regulation is likely to be decided in the next few months, even if we are unlikely to see any practical change this year. Tackling the potential conflict between economic development and environmental protection is the remit of the Clean Growth Strategy, the UK's stated ambition to promote wide-ranging economic and environmental policies to mitigate climate change and to deliver clean, green growth. The Committee on Climate Change has just published its independent assessment of the Clean Growth Strategy. It concluded that the government has made a strong commitment to achieving the UK's climate targets, placing the low-carbon economy at the heart of the UK's industrial strategy, and framing the Clean Growth Strategy as a positive contribution to the economy. However, policies and proposals need to be firmed up. Whilst there are some new policies to reduce emissions, in other areas there are some ambitious proposals, but the policy to deliver those aspirations has not yet been worked up. To give an example, linking back to the 25-year environmental plan, how are the government going to phase out conventional petrol and diesel cars and vans by 2040? Gaps to meet the fourth and fifth carbon budgets remain. The report concludes that there is no clear link to the proposals that the strategy presents. In particular, the fourth carbon budget begins in only 5 years, and plans set out to meet that budget are so far insufficient. For both new and existing policies, significant risks of under-delivery remain. The report recommends that the government should aim to outperform the carbon budgets in order to provide contingency, pointing out that an ambitious programme of innovation spending will contribute little to the existing carbon budgets, if for nothing else, due to the lead times expected before any tangible results. Carbon capture and storage is identified as an essential technology for decarbonising the power sector and heavy industry. A business model for carbon capture and storage will be needed before 2025 in order to ensure that industrial projects with the relevant technology can be in operation by the mid-2020s. In addition, the report identifies key milestones and timings, beyond those already identified by the government, which will be necessary to meet in order to close the gaps between now and the carbon budgets, and to provide greater confidence that the policies, proposals and intentions announced to date will be delivered in full. This would include a commitment to ban all biodegradable waste streams, including food waste, from entering landfill by 2020. It is rare to have such concrete analysis of the UK's environmental strategy, and the publication of this report is especially well timed in the context of the 25-year environmental plan. It remains to be seen whether the government will adopt these recommendations and timings as set out in the report, but there would appear to be no reason in principle why that cannot happen. Thank you for tuning in for this Environmental Law News Bulletin. For more information on any of these stories, please contact Six Pump Court or my colleagues at LexisNexis. We'll be back in February with a look at the month's key legal updates.